Okay, it looks like it is 4:02, so I'm going to go ahead and get started today with the training. My name is Sarah Beth Russell, and Heather McLeod, she's going to be in the question section today, answering any of those. If you guys would like to go ahead and start testing out that question section, I do see one comment already in there, but if you want to put your name and what chapter you're with, just so we can make sure that that is working for everybody. And we will go ahead and get started. If you guys want to go ahead and test that out, perfect. See that coming in. Grace, Chloe, welcome guys. Okay, so before we start today, I do just want to give a little background about OmegaFi in case some of you guys are not as familiar with our company as a whole. So for more than 30 years, OmegaFi has provided technology solutions to help customers manage their finances, streamline their operations, recruit new members, and communicate with their members, whether it's working with 57 different headquarters or local chapters, house corporations, IFC and Panhellenic councils, and alumni associations across more than 650 campuses. We remain the industry leader when it comes to technology in the fraternity and sorority community. We're based out of Columbus, Georgia, and we securely process more than 1.1 million per day, $1.1 million per day for our clients, and have securely processed more than 4 billion since 1992. We're also deeply committed to serving, promoting, and advancing the fraternity and its sorority experience. We aim to make raving fans with every individual or group we work with by reaching, innovating, and acting with agility. We challenge ourselves to dream big every day and to help others achieve their own dreams. Those are some of our core values here at OmegaFi. To say we're passionate about what we do is an understatement, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so they can focus on their mission and having fun. So that's kind of just a background of what OmegaFi is as a company. Today we will be going over the OmegaRecruit software. And our agenda for today, we are going to look at tips for successful recruitment, go over ways you guys can prepare for that. We're going to look at login and account setup. I'll show you guys what those emails will look like when they're coming to you, so you are aware and how to get that access. And then we'll go through the menu features that are within the app to get you familiar with those. We'll do a test voting and go through the reporting as well. And then at the end, we'll have Q&A. If you do have any questions during the webinar, you can go ahead and pop those in the question section. Like I said, Heather will be monitoring those and answering them throughout the webinar. Or if you want to save your questions to the end when we do Q&A, you can as well. Either way, we will make sure and get those answered for you. So in order to have a successful recruitment, we suggest to be proactive and prepare for the recruitment season. So this includes making sure all your members are getting logged in. We say at least 1 week in advance, make sure your members are getting logged into the system. That's going to ensure that when recruitment rolls around, they are already good to go and not fumbling at the last minute to try and get that login set up. So that way, in case they do have any issues getting logged in, they can reach out to support within the week beforehand rather than the day beforehand. So logging in, getting everybody ready, and updating their member profiles is one way to do that. And then also practicing. So like I said, today we're going to be going through that, the menu and everything with our practice files to kind of do a mock setup recruitment. So using the practice files that we provide for you guys, you can get familiar with the application and just make sure that you are ready for recruitment when time comes and you have that real data. And then the last thing we suggest is training. So if you guys are attending the webinar today, that is a great tool there, but we also have our in-app help and our knowledge base application with articles to help you guys with any questions you may have, as well as some FAQ pages as well. And this is just going to help you, when you review those, that's just going to help you be more comfortable within the application so that when recruitment comes, you are an expert at the software and know what you are looking for. Okay, so to look at the login, if you are an admin, this is the email that you receive to set up the account, especially if you are a new account or if you are a new admin that previously was not set up with the account, you're going to receive this to go ahead and get your chapter set up and start adding users. So you'll just follow the link here and get signed in. And once you are signed in, it is going to take you through the steps on how to get everybody set up. And we'll also look at that today. But this is what the email is going to look like for you guys. And then for your users, once you add them to the system, they're going to receive an email that looks like this. It will tell you which chapter it's coming from right here. So, you know, if it's coming from Gamma Phi Beta, it's going to say it there. And they will just hit to create their account. Now, if they have previously used OmegaRecruit, they will be able to log in with the same information they previously used and get signed in and be good to go. If they have not used it before, they will actually go through that create your account setup process. Now, we did just redo our login to be a single sign-on. With that, even if they've used it before, they'll still be able to log in, but they'll probably have to reset their password if they have not logged in since we updated that sign on. And we know that during recruitment, things can get pretty hectic. So we want OmegaRecruit to be as easy as 1, 2, 3 for you guys. So today, while we're going through that, we have broken it down into 3 phases. We are going to go through adding your rounds, getting your P&Ms uploaded, and uploading your parties. And that's going to be kind of the 3 main steps you're going to take when going through the recruitment process. So when you first sign into OmegaRecruit, you're going to see this setup page. This page is going to walk you through each of the steps to set up your chapter for recruitment. Practice files are included on this page as well. That way you can run through a practice recruitment with fake data prior to the real deal. We don't recommend practicing with actual recruitment data, so we provided these files for you, and you can download them right here just by clicking on each one of those. And for each of the steps for setup, they are numbered and have clickable links to take you to each page where you can complete the step. You can also reach each of these pages from the menu on the left side of the page, but we'll go ahead and start with step 1, setting up our rounds for recruitment. So as you can see, this takes us directly to our edit rounds page, and we will use the add rounds button here to create all of the rounds for recruitment. You'll notice that as we add rounds, the preference banner is always going to follow that last round. We do recommend setting up all of your rounds at the same time. For this example, we're going to use 4 rounds, but it's important to make sure you set them all up initially to ensure that the system will calculate your scores correctly. So with the practice files, the first 2 rounds are going to be party voting with 12 parties and 9 parties accordingly. I'm going to edit the names of these with the pencil icon here for the rounds, and you can leave them as round 1, 2, 3, and 4, or you can edit them to better identify them in the columns. And while I'm editing these, so the difference with the open voting and the round voting is open voting is going to allow all the P&Ms to be listed within the ballot while your members are voting. Party voting is only going to show you the members that are within that party to vote on. So this is just going to help your members to more easily find those girls within their ballot, as well as, you know, if people have the same names, it's separating them out to the party. So it's as you're going, it's just a little easier to identify each girl with the party voting, especially if you just recently talked to her. And so you can do that within or in between your parties rather than open voting, where that's open all night and you're searching for that user. So we'll go ahead and save this here. So now that we've set up our rounds, we are going to go back to the PNM list right here in the main menu. This is where the setup screen is housed as well. So when you close this, once we add our new members, your PNMs will see them here, but the setup page is located in this same location. So we'll go ahead and click step 2 to upload those members. This screen is going to be different for different chapters. So if your campus uses ICS, you'll actually connect to ICS. And once you've connected, this page is going to have the import from ICS button. If your campus uses Campus Director, you'll need to download a file of your PNMs from Campus Director, and then you'll upload it here. I do want to note, though, that even if you use ICS, you still have the ability to run through practice recruitment using the test files. You just have to make sure you disconnect from ICS, and then you can upload those practice files and go through a trial recruitment. And then before your actual recruitment starts, you'll just need to make sure to connect back to ICS for recruitment season. I'll show you later where you can disconnect and reconnect to ICS. So to assist with the upload process, though, we do provide detailed instructions right here. This is just showing you what headers you need to have and what they need to be named and how that needs to be formatted. So basically just a very plain Word doc or Excel document with no formatting in it. No bolding or italics, anything like that can possibly make that not go through when it uploads and give you an error message. So you can follow this list right here to give you the headers. And we do have, if you have a header that's not included here, we have custom columns. So custom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can have up to 6 custom columns of data. And then I'll show you later where you can actually edit those names once the file is uploaded. And then here, this is how you'll need to save the file as the Excel 97 2003 workbook in order for it to successfully upload. So we're going to go ahead and upload those PNMs here. And as you can see, we got the little green box here letting us know that that upload was successful. We do have some missing unrequired columns here. So they are unrequired though, so it's not going to stop the upload, but if you want to include those, you can. They're listed on those detailed instructions. We're going to go ahead and click to go back to the PNM list from here. And now you can see all of those PNMs are uploaded within the system. And step 2 has disappeared. Step 1 also disappeared when we completed that. So as you go through, your steps are going to disappear as you do them. Step 3 is not listed as this test account already has users uploaded, but step 3 is uploading your users into the system. And we are actually, for the next step, going to skip to step 5, which is uploading your parties. So we are going to get those uploaded. This is another screen that if you have ICS for your chapter or for your campus, it will also have that import from ICS button. If you have Campus Director, again, you'll just have to download that file for the party assignment from Campus Director and then upload it here. And then once again, we do provide the detailed instructions and examples. This one is a lot simpler. You just need the MIN for the member and then what party they're going to be in. Make sure that when you're uploading those, that all your PNMs are assigned a party. Otherwise, they will go into an inactive status or a status of regret. So you just want to make sure they all have a party listed if they are coming to see you so that they are able to be voted on. So we are going to import for open house and choose the party practice file, submit that, and that was successfully uploaded. Now, after you finish steps 1 through 3, these remaining steps are going to stay on the screen. This is because you repeat those throughout the recruitment process. So those will stay just as a reminder on how to do those when you're going through that recruitment process and uploading multiple rounds with multiple parties. Now that we've reviewed the setting up your Chapter 4 recruitment, we're going to go ahead and go through the menu options that are on the left-hand side of the screen. So again, this setup screen is over your P&M list. If you hit that close button, you will see that P&M list. This is the first thing we're going to go over. It's the first thing in the P&M dropdown here. As a reminder, this page, so this is where you can review all your P&Ms, their information, their scores as votes start to pull in. You'll see all of that come into here, and you can click on what we like to call the hamburger menu up here in the top right, and you have some options here. So the refresh and recalculate, that is going to give you the most updated information. So as voting is going on, you can refresh and recalculate to see as votes are coming in real time. Then we have the select columns right here. This is going to allow you to manipulate the columns that are showing within your P&M list. So for example, if we wanted to pull in, yeah, that looks good. Or if you want to remove any, like we can go ahead and remove these, and you can see those will update the columns there. And then you can also select a column and move it if you want. Now, if you do refresh the screen at any point, it's going to pop that column back where it was, but it's not going to update the columns that you have selected. So for these columns, some of these are able to be edited, so you can double click in like your admin notes and add notes here. So you can say graduated early from high school, just as a admin note in that section. Anything you're wanting to put in there, you can add that. You can update any interest. You can also add the column for majors and put that in there as well. Or you can also do that when you upload the P&Ms rather than having to do that individually. You can also use this search up here to filter through your P&M list. So if we wanted to look at freshmen, we can type that into the search bar here. It's going to sort out anyone who has freshmen in their profile anywhere. So the one thing you do want to be careful with this is if the word freshman is in their interest or admin notes for any reason, it may still pull them into this search, even if their class isn't considered a freshman, things like that. So if you do want more advanced search options, you can click this little icon here and look through here to see how you can narrow that search down. You can also sort your columns here, or you can double click on the column to sort that there. Another column that is an editable field is the picture column. So you can double click in the green space of that and you'll see the picture URL, and you can always update that as well. Just make sure when you're pulling that URL that you're pulling the picture URL address and not the address of the web page that the picture is located. Another column that we have listed here is the star column. So this is used for matching purposes. So if you want to star new members to speak with certain members, you can do that by double clicking on the star in the star column, and then we'll look at also how you can star your users as well. Okay, and then we're going to look at now back at this hamburger menu, we're going to look at the slideshow. So this is your in-browser slideshow that we have. You can use the arrow keys to go through this. This is going to show you your P&Ms based on however you have that sorted. So because we have freshmen selected here, we're only going to see freshmen within that slideshow, are people who have freshmen within their user profile. So looking through that, we can also go to the menu icon up here and filter out anything that we don't want on the slide, or push things into the slide that may not have been on there before, so we can just adjust what columns you're wanting to look at. And if you want to print this, you can hit the P key on your keyboard. It's going to make this screen blue, and then you can right click to print. We always say to do the print preview here, and once the preview loads, you may have to adjust that scaling to make sure everything is pulling onto one page when you print it. And then you can just print, and whenever you are done with the slideshow, you can hit escape. And it's going to take you back to that P&M list right here. Also, the last thing in that hamburger menu is the export the P&M list. And that is just going to pull that into an Excel file. We'll open that up to see what that looks like. So this is just going to pull that information out for you. These -1s here are because there aren't any votes cast currently, but as your votes are cast, if you want to pull that at the end of each night, it's going to show you the scores for each of those members. But any rounds that haven't been voted on will still have that -1, so you don't need to worry about that if votes have not been submitted. But this just pulls a overview of whatever you are wanting to look at, so you can export that information to just better help you guys review the P&Ms. Okay, and then on to the next menu item is adding your P&Ms. We did the upload P&Ms earlier, so that's in mass. If you do need to ever just add a singular P&M or just a few, you can go to this page and add P&Ms one at a time. If you'll note, the only required information for adding a P&M is the MIN, the first name and last name. So if you're just adding one P&M, you may want to use this page here. And then when you're doing that in mass, that's when you're going to use this upload P&Ms section here. And then you can always upload your P&Ms from an Excel spreadsheet, no matter where you are in the recruitment process. So if you're uploading more P&Ms, like let's say you have 10 more P&Ms that were added, the system is only going to add those 10 extra. So even if that full spreadsheet has all the ones you previously added plus the 10 extra, it's going to identify the new P&Ms by their MIN number. So it will only upload those who have a new MIN that's not already in the P&M list. So this will just ensure that only the new ones are added and there aren't any duplicate P&Ms that come into the system, and that you're not losing any data from the upload process. So the next one is uploading your parties. We looked at this earlier when we uploaded the open house parties. We're going to go ahead and upload the parties for sisterhood as well from the practice files. We got that little green box. Typically, anything you're doing upload, when you get this green box, that's going to just show you that everything's good to go. If there is anything wrong with the upload, it'll tell you what that error is, so you'll be able to more easily go fix the Excel file. Okay, and now we're going to look at the matching tool. So this tool is not a primary function of OmegaRecruit, but it can just help sort through data within OmegaRecruit to determine which members should speak to each of the P&Ms. It's going to generate matches based on 4 criteria. So we have the recommendations, which are submitted by members on the ballot when they're voting, and then we have starred P&Ms and members, and we'll look at how you can star your members, like I said, but we saw on the P&M list how you can star your P&Ms to speak with. And then it has interest in hometowns. If you use this feature, your members will need to make sure that they update their match profile within their user login for OmegaRecruit. That way there's data available for them to be matched by interest in hometowns. So for all of these items, you can select if you want to use them or not, and you can select or move the bar up to indicate their importance. And then you can also say if they are going to be required fields or not. So with the required, that is going to make it where they have to have a recommendation in order to be matched. So even if they have the same hometown, the match will not generate unless they also have a recommendation. So just be careful when using that required field. Know that they will have to meet this criteria, and it won't just pull for any of the other ones if you're requiring a certain field. Below this here, we have the max number of matches per member and per P&M. This now is 1 through 500, so you can have up to 500 matches on there. bigger schools might need more matches to generate, so they have more options. But the more matches you allow, the more data you're going to have to sort through. So I would just keep that in mind when putting in that matching number. You're just going to have more matches to sort through with that. And then if you ever need a report of all matches that members have submitted, so just the recommendations from the ballot, you can always deselect all these other options here and just look at recommendations, and that will generate a report just of matches that were submitted by your members. Finally, you'll see at the bottom that you have the select rounds and parties to generate the matches. So we're just going to look at open house, but we're going to do all the parties and go ahead and generate matches. As you can see, those pull into the screen here. If there is a match you're not seeing, but you want those members to talk to a certain P&M, you can add it under this Add New Match button. Select the member you're wanting to speak to, whichever P&M you're wanting them to speak to. You can even put a reason for the match, and you can save that. And if you are seeing a match that you're just wanting to eliminate because you don't want them to talk to them, or you know that you already have them slotted for someone else, you can filter that out by selecting that and deleting the selected. And then we suggest making any of those updates within the screen here before you export if you are going to do that. But after you make all those adjustments, you can go ahead and pull that out into an Excel or PDF. You can do it before you make changes as well if you're wanting to do that outside of there, but the recommendation we make is to clean up this page however you're wanting and then export that information. Okay, and next we are going to go to some of the reports that you guys have available. So here we have the comments report. Any comments that are made on the ballot, you can export those via this report here, and it's just going to show all comments and what P&M that comment was made on. Then we have recs, similar to comments, any recommendations, it's going to export those for whichever P&M. This is if you use that. Some of you guys may not use this recommendations tab, but this is for alumni to submit any recommendations. They can do so through the link if you provide that for them, and then you can export that information. Reports tab here. This has several different reports within it. We have the P&M report, so you can choose to only show the actives, P&Ms. So if you're further along in the recruitment process and you've already eliminated some, you can narrow that down and also include comments if that is something you're wanting and export that. You can generate a votes report, same thing. You can select what information you're wanting to pull in, and then you can sort it by either your users or your P&Ms. Again, the comments, and this just allows if you want to break down that, you can here. Another option for a slideshow we have here in this report section. This is actually going to be a PowerPoint slideshow. It does have a little less information than that in-browser slideshow, but some people do prefer the PowerPoint slideshow. So if that's something you would prefer, we have that report here. And then we have the voter distribution tab. This just shows overall distribution reports that can show voting trends for the chapter as a whole. We also offer this information for each P&M and user on their individual profile if you want to see that information broken down. So we'll look at how you can look at that when we do our voting, but this just helps you to better understand data and trends behind votes that are being submitted. Okay, and we're going to go on to, oh, I'm sorry. We actually just added this report as well. This is the vote audit report. This is going to help you guys to better keep track of any updates that are made within the voting. So if any votes are changed within the recruitment process, so somebody submitted an incorrect vote or they want to change their vote, whatever that may be, you can then later pull a vote audit report and see all the changes that were made and what admin made those changes and to what members vote on what P&M. So it's going to give you all that information of any changes on votings that were made. And this is something that we just launched this week. So that's just going to help you guys, maintain the best integrity for your voting process and give that paper trail for any change logs on that. And next, we're going to look at the user menu. So if we go to the user list, here is where you'll see all your users that you have uploaded. You can see if they are an admin. You can see if they're a starred member. So this would be where you'd star any members. So if you have a particularly strong recruiter that you want to star because they'll be great talking to P&Ms, you can do that here for the matching process. You can also restrict members. This will take them out of matching and not allow them to vote. So for any reason you need to do that, you can do that here, and you can also delete members. You can also see if your members have logged in yet. So if they have this send registration email, that means they have not logged into their account, and you can resend that registration email to them. So also, if for some reason they did not receive it whenever you added them, you can resend it here. And then if they do not have that button, that means they're already set up. So if they're having issues logging in, they can always try to reset their password from the login screen, or they can contact login support. And next, we are going to go to the add users. So this is where you can do that either en masse or by individual users. You can do this individually here by adding their first, last name, and their email. Or you can make an Excel spreadsheet just with the user email address, first name, and last name, just those 3 columns with a single email. And then you can upload that here. When you upload or add a member individually, that's when they'll receive that registration email to get logged in. Okay, and then we also have here the user report. This is just a basic report to include like the details that are shown here if you want to export that for your users. So next we are going to go to the hub. This shows graphs of key data points. Within these graphs, you can click on the arrow in the bottom corner here to review where these data points are coming from. You can even export that with the little download icon, or if you want to look back at the graph, you can flip it back. This is just another way to review data on a deeper level and make the most of the information that's available to you. And then below the hub, we have the vote tab here. This is where your members would submit voting. Admins can also submit votes. Right now, the ballot is not open, which we will look at how to do that within the chapter tab. So under the chapter tab, we can advance your rounds and parties. So we're going to go ahead and open voting for open house party 1. And this is also where we looked earlier to edit rounds. So this is where we added our rounds and changed them from either open to party voting. Here is where you can edit your chapter. This is where you can put in your recruitment start and end dates. Typically, when you first sign in as an admin, it's going to prompt you to do this first. And then here is where you can edit those custom columns that are on the upload P&M Excel file. So giving them different names, you can do that within here, and then that will pull into your P&M list. This tab here is where you can connect and disconnect from ICS. So if you are an ICS chapter, you can disconnect on this screen to do your practice with practice files and then reconnect later before actual recruitment starts. And then here is where you can do a master reset. So if you have used practice files to simulate recruitment beforehand and you want to wipe that information, this is where you'll come to do that. You can click the master reset, and that is going to just remove all the P&Ms that are currently in the system, any votes, comments, and it will set the system back to what it was like before recruitment started. The difference with this and the master reset that we do during The summertime is that this is going to still have your users listed within your user list. So it's not going to delete the users. The master reset we do during the summer deletes everybody except for the admins. So this is just going to keep that intact so your users aren't having to log in again before recruitment. It's just going to remove all that data. And this is also good for between fall and spring, clearing out your fall data as well. Okay, and then moving on from the chapter tab, we're going to go to the configuration page here. Now, this will look different for different organizations depending on what your nationals has set up, but this is basically going to tell you the details of your specific organization's voting information if you have anything specific. If not, you'll just see this screen right here. This is telling you how it's calculating those votes. And also, if your chapter or if your organization does have specific configurations, you'll see your Greek letters here instead of the word configuration, and that's where you'll be able to access that information. Under configuration, we have some information here to help. So the training tab here, this is going to go through the information we went over today, how to do practice rounds, setting up your recruitment, and it's screenshot by screenshot. So this is just a really good detailed example of getting that set up. And you also have right here listed the support email. And then underneath that, some more information. We have this Help Me tab. This is going to be an FAQ page. So if you have any questions about anything specific, you can type it in, and any of the articles with information about that will pull into the system. If you don't find it here, you can also click the Get Help button, and this takes you to our knowledge base where you can also search different articles, see if that information is here, if it was not in that Help Me tab. This is also where you can submit a request. So this is kind of the same as emailing our support. Here you can submit that request, and you can request the priority on that as well, and attach any images or files and give a detailed description. So with this, we do ask that if you're going to submit a response, that after you've looked through all the other information because you either can't find it or if you're having a specific issue with the system, be as detailed as you can. The more detail you can give us, the easier it's going to be for us to assist you. And that is just going to help us to better assist you in that process. So anything you can provide. Okay, now that we have gone through all the tabs here, we are going to go to the voting. So this is what your member ballots are going to look like when you open up your voting. Now, if your national organization has different requirements, your ballot may look a little different from this, but this is the basic ballot that most people are going to have. And then here's where you can use the drop down, select a P&M, and then choose the vote. You can make a comment here. And then you can also recommend a match and submit that. I'm going to go ahead and submit a few here. And as you can see, as you're submitting those, your members are going to, or the P&Ms are going to disappear. So if you've already voted on them, it's not going to let you vote twice. And that just kind of helps to also narrow down the list so you're not accidentally voting on the same person twice. So now that we've submitted some votes, we are going to go back here and look at that information. And you can use this this little section right here. It's going to show we have 6 total votes that came in, and as you can see, they have loaded in to the open house round, and they have also shown what that it's pulled into your overall as well. So as you continue through the rounds, it will bump that overall up as more votes are put into that section. We can also look at the votes specifically by clicking on that member, or I'm sorry, on the P&M. So here's the vote detail here. and any comments that may have been added, what status and party they're in, their specific details, and then you can look at that voter distribution that we talked about earlier in their recruitment stats. If you need to edit a vote, this is where you can do that. You can also do it on the user screen, and we'll look at that in a second. But here you can edit that if it needs to be changed and save it there. And if you want to look at that by user instead, you can go to the user list, click on the particular user that needs the vote change. You can see all the votes that that user has submitted and change any if you need to. You can see comments that were submitted. You can look at their profile. You can add a vote for a member if you need to, and you can look at their voter distribution as well by exporting that. Now, if you are adding a vote for a member, make sure that the vote you are adding or the vote you're even on the vote you're changing is for whatever round you are currently in. Right now, we are in open house party 1. If you needed to change a vote for a different round, you would need to make sure you advance to that round and then change the vote after you advance. So that's the only thing kind of there to note. So just to reiterate kind of earlier, preparation is going to be your best key to success here. So those tips from earlier, getting logged in, making sure your users are good to go, going through the practice, just getting familiar with the system and using those resources to train that are available for you, that is going to be your best way to ensure your best recruitment. And now we'll go ahead and open that for Q&A. Heather, I know you have been monitoring this section. I'm going to go ahead and look through here and see what questions we may have got.
Yes, there's a few that I haven't been able to answer yet. One was from Leslie about votes for P&Ms that happened before they set up their OmegaRecruit account, and is there a way to upload those scores?
So if you had votes that were before your OmegaRecruit, that option, let's go to this. This account that I have set up is also an admin account. So when you're looking at your user list here, if you need to add votes for a particular user, you can add the votes for them. Again, just make sure that you're in whichever round you have set up. So if you've already done rounds before you set up your actual recruitment, you can go in and do that here. Or if it's something, I know some chapters have like admin scores. Some of those are a little more specific to the national organization, so you might just need to review the configuration page if that is something you're looking at. But here is where you'd be able to add votes for P&Ms.
Gotcha. Okay. We also got several questions about being able to use the practice files if they also have, if they're also ICS customers. And so I believe the answer to that is you can do that, or I know the answer is you can use the practice files even if you are an ICS customer. But first you need to go under the chapter menu and disconnect from ICS so that then you have the ability to upload the files. So correct. Yeah, so if it's showing you there, you just go there and then you can go and disconnect. You'll have an option there to disconnect. Then once you do that, you can go back and you should have the ability to upload the files, then do everything that you need to do to practice, and then make sure you come back to this chapter menu. First, hit the master reset to remove all of that practice data, and then reconnect to ICS, and you should be good to go there. Anything else you would add to that, Sarah Beth?
No, that sounds about correct. I'm just looking at some of the other questions. Are there any other ones that you were not able to answer yet?
Oh, we got just a couple. We've got a follow-up question about the P&M votes, adding those, And Leslie asked if there's an ability to mass upload those. Is that correct, or is that not an option? You have to go individually and add them?
Correct. There's not a way to mass upload those. You would have to do that individually because typically you run that through the ballots. Honestly, I think the best suggestion for that would be if you've already run through it, you should open the voting and then just have your members resubmit it on the ballot because you can advance these rounds and go back if you need to. So I would set up your rounds accordingly. If you've already done voting previously, you can just open the voting for that round again and then have your members submit the same votes that they did, and then that just kind of takes a load off you, and it can do it all at once. So have them submit those votes via the system. That is probably going to be your best way to not have to go through individually and add the votes on each P&M.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, we got a few more questions coming in. How do you change a P&M status if they decide to withdraw from recruitment? That came in from Hazel.
Yeah, so as you're advancing, if those members aren't assigned a party, if you have party voting, they will go into regret or inactive status. And you can also, if they're not voted on within a round, they will also go into inactive status. So once the round is closed, if no votes were submitted for them, they will go inactive after that.
Sounds good. Bridget asked how the login process has changed for OmegaRecruit.
Yeah, so we have changed our login process to single sign-on as a whole for Omega Phi. So really, it hasn't changed much at all. If you've previously logged in, it's going to be the same process. Once you get that registration email, you'll go to the link it directs you to and get signed in. The difference with this is just when you log in, if you have any access to other applications, you'll be able to access that all through that singular sign-on with your grid icon, this right up here. So if you have access to any other applications, you'll see that and be able to switch more easily through that and just log in with that one singular email. So the only thing I would caution on that is if your users use Omega One or Vault, any other softwares, when you're uploading them to OmegaRecruit, make sure you're using that same email. Otherwise, it will create two separate accounts for that. So you'll just want to make sure that whatever email they use to log in with any of the other applications, it's the same as this, and then that'll allow them the functionality to easily switch between those applications.
Thank you. Yes. And if you are having any issues, send an email to loginsupport@omegaphi.com and we can help you out if you or anybody else in your chapter is having any issues. But hopefully those are few and far between. Another question is from Emily. She asks, are users just our recruitment team, or is that including all actives? And if not, can you explain again how we can be sure all actives have access to OmegaRecruit?
Yeah, so your users are going to be all of your actives that are going to be participating in voting. So you'll want to add all of those users into the system. When you add them, it's going to send them that registration email. That's how they'll get logged in. So again, you can do that under the add users, and you can do that either by mass uploading them with an Excel file or individually adding the users right here. So once you upload them, they will get that registration link and be able to log in. Now, if your recruitment team needs to have different access levels, this is where you can edit that. You can give them admin status. And like I said, this is a user account that has admin status, what we're looking at here. So they would be able to see all this information. Your regular users are only going to be able to see their ballot and I believe like their user profile. So they're not going to be able to see all these tabs, only the admins. So that may be a way to kind of differentiate between your actives and your recruitment team if they need to have that admin access. But all your users, in order to be able to vote, will need to be added to OmegaRecruit.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well, that looks like that's all of the questions. Oh, one more. If you have 2 separate accounts, can you switch the email on one to make both accounts one?
Depending, I would reach out to login support because they'll be able to better assist you with that. But in short, you should be able to get that updated. But it'll be a different user account, or not a different user account. Essentially, you'll have to
We'll have to merge them.
yes. So you'll reach
Yeah.
out to them and they'll help you get that taken care of. And then also, I don't know, I know somebody said that they don't have the OmegaRecruit icon. If you're having that issue, but you're able to log in, it sounds like you have not been added as a user to your chapter yet. So you just don't have that particular access. So you need to get with your recruitment person and have them add you as a user, and then you'll get that email. You can log in, and then it'll tell you like you now have access to OmegaRecruit, and you'll have that specific icon.
Okay. So again, that email address is loginsupport@omegafy.com if you are having any issues or need to switch some things over or get anything merged. During recruitment, if you do have any questions or need any help, of course, you can click that Help Me link that's within OmegaRecruit. Also, send us an email at recruitment_support@omegafy.com if you need anything, and we will have people there ready to assist you. Feel free to reach out anytime you have questions. That's what we're here for. And best of luck with this year's recruitment. Thank you for attending. Have a fantastic day.